Welcome in to the Inquirer podcast. It is Jeremy Werner live in rainy and cold Los Angeles. Kyle Tausk back in sunny and warm Champaign. We're here to react to Illinois' 101-65 rout of USC last night at Galen Center. What a fun game that was for Illinois, who finally is whole again. But apologies for the delay. It was a late night for you guys in the Central Time Zone. I had a lot of work to do, a lot of driving through LA, which anyone who's been here knows how bad that is. Kyle needed to sleep. He's still in class, folks. He's still a student here, so we got to get him some sleep. But I needed some sleep too, and that was a fun win to sleep on. Kyle, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm good. I feel for you having to brave the elements there of Southern California while I get to soak up the nice warm weather here in Champaign. No apologies. I wish I could skip class and just talk about that game last night all morning, but unfortunately I still had some class to attend. So apologies for the delay on this podcast, but I'm doing well.
No need. We are still a website. We still do written content, but I appreciate everyone like the podcast. Like I had some people come up to me in LA last night, and the first thing people usually mention is the podcast. I know it's part of your day. I know our expectation that we've created is we're going to do a live post game, but just a lot to get to. I wanted to be able to write on the website, so go check all that out at Illini Inquirer. But I know people wanted to relive that game because, boy, that was a fun one, Kyle. And we'll get to our hits and misses. Very nitpicky misses in this one, a lot of hits because this is one of the best wins of the year, dominant wins of the year. And obviously you got to put in perspective that USC was out without Chad Baker-Mazara. Rodney Rice is out for the season already with an injury, and Elijah Arenas was sick, and you could tell he was laboring a little bit. But Illinois steps on the throats right away, up 10 within the first 6 minutes, up 20 for the final, 21, 22 minutes in this one. And it's a laugher in LA, Kyle. But what I wrote about last night is this team still feels like it isn't fully formed yet. And that's what's so exciting about this is the two games they lost in overtime at Michigan State against Wisconsin. They weren't whole, and they still had a chance to win in those games. And then you see them just step on the throats of a subpar team, I think, in the Big Ten, but a team that's fighting for its NCAA tournament lives. So you're expecting to get the best shot from USC. And boy, you think of what this team, like this offense just becomes more and more historic every game, it feels like. But I wrote about it leading into this game. I'm really excited about what they could be defensively when they're whole because they continue to improve. And Kyle, this team's one of the best in the country when they're fully healthy.
Yeah, it was the first time we got to see this group with its full complement of pieces since January 17th. And so it's been over a month since we actually got to see all players healthy and this entire rotation play together. And that was a team back in January that was certainly building momentum and taking advantage of a softer part of the schedule, but that wasn't a fully formed group yet. The Boswell injury kind of threw a wrench into that where it felt like they were really building to something. Give them credit. They handled the Boswell absence and kept building without him, and obviously picked up two big road wins. But now we're getting to see right at the perfect time of year everything come back together. And boy, that right there, you hit it perfectly with your column after the game. Like that right there, that group is one that should scare the rest of the country. When this team is fully healthy and clicking like that, and it just feels like even with the injuries and getting Boswell and Stojakovic back integrated, just feels like there's such a acknowledgement of role identification on this team right now. Just everybody doing their job so well. To get 7 guys in double figures in a Big Ten game, I saw the stat last night. It's the first time since at least 2010 that somebody has done that. So, yeah, it's scary. That's a scary basketball team when they're playing that way. And offensively now, I mean, they're 3.6 points per 100 possession above Purdue, who's the number 2 offense in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency rating. There's only been 2 times since 2000 that a gap has been that big between the number 1 and number 2 offenses. It was 2018 Villanova, who won a national title with Jalen Brunson and Michael Bridges, Dante DiVincenzo, and 2015 Wisconsin, who lost a heartbreaker in the national title game with Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker and that crew. Historic offense, incredible offense, and one that's lapping the rest of the country right now. And absolutely, I think a team that's starting to build some real momentum on the other side too. So this is a group that if you get that version of Illinois, which obviously you won't get every night, but that felt like kind of as close to the peak version of this team as you can get. And boy, is it a scary one.
Yeah, these from Derek Burson, Sports Information Director at Illinois. Their 36-point margin of victory, the program's largest in a Big Ten road win in the modern era, largest in 80 years, dating back to a 70-28 victory at Chicago when they were in the Big Ten in 1946. The first team this century, Kyle, to score 100-plus points on 50, 40, 90 shooting in a Big Ten game. Just unbelievable efficiency in this one. And just to start with our hits, the greatest thing about offensively is there was no need for Keaton Wagler to be the point man in this game because Colin Boswell was fantastic. His efficiency wasn't great. If I'm picking nits, one of my misses is he settled for a couple threes, I thought, early in the game. And that's kind of part of the Colin Boswell experience at times. So he's 1 for 6 there, but otherwise he was fantastic. 8 assists. He assisted on 7 of the 13 3-pointers that Illinois made last night. And we're in Tinseltown, right? This felt like Showtime Lakers stuff last night, Kyle. 13 made threes, 4 dunks, just flying up and down the court. They really got going in the fast break in this one and got some turnovers. But Boswell was fantastic running the point. So if USC was really focused on Keaton Wagler, who is the top of the scouting report. That is the number one thing, is try to take Keaton Wagler out of the game. Well, Illinois got another really good lead guard. And then they got, Andrej Stojakovic, who returns from injury, coming off the bench, 22 points in 18 minutes. You got another guy who can take advantage of all that spacing, get downhill. Great efficient performance from him, just showing that athleticism. That ankle sure looked fine, Kyle, on some of those dunks and some of those drives. So the fact that a team can try to take Wagler out of the game and you have all these other answers, it's just, I don't know who has answers defensively for this offense right now. I mean, no one has had it. Even when they've had their injuries, there are very few nights that this offense isn't just one of the best offenses in the country. Every night it is.
Yeah, I think that's the separator too. When you're talking about the elite teams in the country, the teams that you feel like can make a Final Four, win a national title, you got to have a guy. You have to have a star, right? In most cases, a guy that you can give the ball to and can take over a game offensively, create shots in crunch time. We know Keaton Wagler could do that, but you can't be solely dependent on that guy to make everything happen for you every single night. And Illinois isn't. As good as Keaton Wagler is, when they're fully healthy, when you have Colin Boswell back in the mix, Andrej Stojakovic healthy, David Mirkovic doing what he's doing as a secondary initiator for you, you're not solely reliant on Keaton Wagler. And you even hear Brad Underwood welcome teams trapping Keaton Wagler and trying to take him out of the game because he just knows there's so many other options, so many other ways that Illinois can beat you. And if these guys are going to play this way, it's going to dissuade teams from putting all their effort into Keaton, and in turn, that'll probably open up more opportunities for Keaton. We've kind of seen him start to take on that, teams are doing everything they can, throwing the kitchen sink at him. Maybe teams will back off of that a little bit, knowing that, hey, we might even get beat more if we do that because we have 4 other guys that are capable of beating us. That's the beauty of this team right now. But I think a big part of that is getting Colin Boswell back and healthy, because I think we talked so much about his defensive impact, which is humongous, and it's the biggest thing that you were missing with him out. But that guy's really good offensively too. That guy is a really important offensive piece for you because he gives you a secondary point guard, a secondary ball handler, and a guy who's done it for so long. Is a senior veteran point guard decision maker who I thought was sensational as a passer last night, just as a facilitator. Like, that's the thing that kind of went under the radar for everything. Colin Boswell, 8 assists to 1 turnover and was running the point for a good chunk of the night. So he's really, really valuable on that end too. The shot is still rusty for sure. You'd like to maybe see him not take as many threes, at least until he gets into a little bit more of a rhythm. But other than that, he was sensational. And I think his presence just makes things so much easier on Keaton.
Yeah, USC was basically just, guarding straight up last night. And, they tried to really get the ball out of Keaton's hands. But then, you got Colin Boswell and get downhill and spray to any shooter that's on the court. And then they have a chance to make it. Or if teams switch you get David Mirkovic in all of these, mismatches. And you just have so many ways that you can beat him. And Tommy, I think, is really progressing, pick and pop. He seems really comfortable right now. So, and this team had foul trouble last night, Kyle. And it didn't matter. And that's where you add Stojakovic, you add Boswell. All of a sudden, you have 8 players you can go to. So if 2 guys get in foul trouble, it's not the end all be all for this team. Like the depth really showed up, and obviously 7 players scoring in double figures. And another big hit for me is the glue guys. Jake Davis, 4 of 4 from 3, absolute flamethrower. He's shooting 42% from 3 on the season. Those corner threes, I'm surprised when he misses. But 7 rebounds from him. Ben Humrickhouse made 3 of 6 from 3 last night. Combined 23 points, 7 of 10 from 3 from those guys. 13 rebounds, 0 turnovers. Brett Underwood said those are 2 of the best glue guys in the country, and it's just those guys filling in some gaps, just doing some little things, and then making shots. Just a big time performance from them as well.
Yeah, they just do what they need to do, and they don't, they don't disrupt anything about how Illinois operates. And that's the beauty of having 2 guys like that who never need to touch the ball to be impactful. Just their presence offensively, both of them, makes you so much more dangerous because teams can't leave either one of those guys. If you gear up or if you overhelp in gaps, whatever the case may be, those guys are spotted up. You feel pretty good about those shots going in, particularly Jake Davis, who's been just shooting the lights out all year. Ben Humrickhouse, I know you can't take games out, but he's had 2 goose egg games with 0 for 6 against Nebraska and Indiana. Outside of those, he's 52% in the other 9 games here recently. So he's been shooting the heck out of the ball too. And just the effort and how hard those guys play. And just, I mean, to get 7 rebounds from Jake Davis, to get 6 from Ben Humrickhouse, those guys aren't, going to be elite individual defenders, but they're versatile. They just plug gaps for you defensively, especially Humrickhouse. Feels like he's guarded 1 through 5 here over the last couple weeks and done it pretty effectively. There's so much value to having those 2 guys who don't get in the way of anything. You don't take away touches from your on-ball guys, but are guys that are just going to fit into any lineup, do their job, provide you some gravity offensively with their shooting, and open up the floor for your on-ball guys to create. And when they have opportunities, they're cashing in on those as shooters right now and just doing a little bit of everything. Every team needs guys like that, and those get the progression of both those guys as the season's gone on, and feeling like they've settled into a really consistent, perfect role on this team has been a really underrated development. That's been a big part of the success.
Yeah, and Brad and the players really praise their leadership as well. Just that's where continuity comes into effect. And I can tell you, Kyle, like the continuity is going to be the key to the offseason. Like the Illini staff wants to basically keep everybody that they can from this team. And listen, they're not giving up on Keaton Wagler coming back yet. I don't think it seems very likely. I would push him and say, you got to be your top 10 pick. But they haven't given up hope that a lot of these guys could return that are able to. And Jake Davis is a big part of that, man. He's become a priority to keep, along with Davin Mirkovic, the Ivisic twins, Andrej Stojakovic. So that's what's exciting, is the continuity that you could have from this team, which is pretty special as well. All right, Kyle, did you want to – I'll give you the floor. Where do you want to hit on next?
Yeah, I think it's what you talked about earlier and what you wrote leading into this game, which is very timely because this defense is starting to come together. I think now with your full healthy complement of guys, getting Boswell and Stojakovic back, it's a defense that is doing enough. And it really, the best way that I can describe this Illinois defense, especially against teams that are going to be overmatched from a talent and physical standpoint like USC, it's hard to score on Illinois. I mean, it's hard to score on this team. And that's, they're not an elite defensive team that's going to be wreaking havoc. They don't turn teams over all that much, but they're hard to score on in the half court because there's so much size and length, and they just create such a wall at the rim. And USC goes 7 for 19 on layups in that game. If you look across the whole season now, in terms of rim rate, shots allowed at the rim, Illinois is only allowing 26.1% of field goals at the rim. That's the 4th lowest mark in the country. So this is a team that is really, with the size that they have, making it tough to penetrate on them. And I think the back line, Tomislav Ivisic, I thought was outstanding defensively. Obviously, Zvonimir gets 3 blocks. That back line is so scary for teams. But
Ben is huge at the rim too. Like maybe he's got a pretty good block rate, but like just his influence on some shots too, especially with some of those wings that he guards.
Yeah, and his verticality on some of his contests. I mean, you talk about it all the time. He's elite at it. He is phenomenal at contesting without fouling, going vertical. But then on the perimeter, I mean, you've got so much size and length too, and to be able to stick Kylan Boswell on 6'6", Elijah Arenas, who's got a 7-foot wingspan, a future pro. Obviously, he did look pretty sick on the view they showed of him on the broadcast, so it's probably not totally fair to critique his performance. He was battling through some things, but Kylan made it tough on him. He was smothering him in the first half and didn't allow him to get to his spots, get his shots off cleanly. Getting Andre back with his length on the perimeter against a bigger USC perimeter was huge. And I just think it's a team that, they're not spectacular defensively, but they are absolutely good enough right now to complement what is an unbelievable offense. And you wrote it perfectly. It feels like now that you have everybody back, you can build some real defensive momentum. It's been a top 15 defense since that Nebraska loss. And I just think it's a team that while they're not going to, create a bunch of havoc defensively, they're just difficult to get easy buckets on because of the size that they have, and you have to work to score on this team, and USC had a really tough time doing it last night.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Since that Nebraska loss, and that includes 7 games without Kylan Boswell, right? Like 7 games without them. They're number 14 in the country in defensive efficiency. Kyle, that'll help you get to a Final Four. That'll help you make the most of a historically efficient offense, right? Like that's all you have to do. You have to be good enough defensively to survive on a day. You shoot 7 for 31 from 3 like you did against Indiana, right? And they dominated that game because they were great on the glass. They got to the free throw line, but also defensively, it was hard for Indiana, which is a top 40 offense in the country. Now, USC, not a great offense with all the guys out that they had and Elijah Arenas being there, but you dominated them. You stepped on their throats. They missed their first 5 or 6 shots in this game, and you just completely controlled it from the start, and they never looked comfortable. And shout out to our boy, Doug Bouchon. Brad came into the season saying that, we want to force more turnovers. They've pivoted. But the last couple of games, Illinois starting to force some turnovers, starting to get some easy points. 19 fast break points were their most this season. I didn't look it up. I don't think it's the most this season, but 22 points off turnovers was one of their highest marks of the Big Ten play. So to get those easy buckets as well was nice for this defense. I don't expect that to keep up against these better teams, Kyle, but 2 of their 4 best defensive performances against high major opponents have been in the last 2 games. So Kylan Boswell's impact is big. And Indiana's a good offense, like not a bad offense. So I know USC is not great, but that's really encouraging. And that's going to be key. That's what I'm looking for in these next 4 regular season games in Big Ten tournament is can this defense continue to progress and have consistency of holding teams to around, 1 point per possession, 1.1 points per possession. Because if you're doing that, you can stack a lot of wins together in March.
Yeah. And USC obviously isn't an offense that scares you all that much and is banged up. So I think really good defensively, but definitely one that, the 14 turnovers, I think is more of an anomaly than anything. I will say, like, you kind of think through what are some of the things that can give this defense problems. And I think we've seen it in terms of having a really quick lead guard who can create. Now, not having Kylan Boswell for Jeremy Fears and Nick Boyd like that, I think that'll help you a lot. But
not having Andrej Stojakovic on John Blackwell, right? Like you just think of, sorry to interrupt, but like you just think of one possession, one stop. I think those guys would have gotten it. And you would be on a 16-game winning streak right now, right? Like you can't put that out of your head because I think those guys are that important defensively that they would have changed those games and you would have continued that momentum. So can't overlook that.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think you look at this defense as a whole since that Nebraska game and being 14th since then, it's been a lot of really consistently good defensive performances where teams just haven't been all that comfortable, haven't been very efficient against Illinois. It's taken Purdue, who's the number 2 offense in the country, and you didn't have Kylan Boswell to put on Braden Smith in that game. Michigan State, who had Jeremy Fears take the game over late. I think that game goes a heck of a lot differently defensively with Kylan Boswell because Fears was about the only option for them to create. Wisconsin obviously was a game that you were missing your top 2 perimeter guys. these teams that just don't have the overwhelming size and talent like a Michigan will, or some of these true national title contenders just struggle with all the size that Illinois can throw at them on the defensive end. Like, it is just not a comfortable game. I think that's something that early in the season we were concerned about with this defense, is teams were pretty comfortable operating offensively, pretty comfortable generating shots against this Illinois defense. That has not been the case for most teams against Illinois here during this stretch, dating back to mid-December. And I also like the fact that they're throwing some different defensive looks at teams too, which has been a constant. Last night, they trapped at one point and forced a USC timeout. They had a few zone possessions. They've thrown a little three-quarter court pressure a few times here over the last couple of games. Like, just doing a few different things, I think, has been helpful as well. And being able to really weaponize all the size has been a big part of it as well.
Yeah, that was a little bit about what I wrote about and Brad talked about is, Cam Crocker, the new defense coordinator, has kind of figured out this team, who they are. And the philosophy has changed a little bit, Kyle, to where they're just getting in gaps. They're allowing teams to shoot some three-pointers, but using their length to contest. And they're actually allowing more three-point attempts, but their three-point field goal percentage defense has gone down. Like, they're allowing fewer of them to go in. Meanwhile, their two-point rim defense has just been great. So they're really limiting the easy looks, as you were talking about. So that philosophy switch, like Cam Crocker and Brad have kind of figured out what this team is, and they're maximizing it. So kudos to this coaching staff for figuring out what this team's best at. And boy, it's clicking right now. So that's really encouraging. That's as encouraging as anything that's happening right now on the offensive end. I do want to bring up that Illinois fans were a big hit in this game. I was looking at Robert Rosenthal before the game, and I'm like, is it 50% Illinois fans in here? Listen, I get USC fans. I wouldn't want to travel through LA traffic to watch USC basketball right now, because it took me 55 minutes, Kyle, to go about 11 miles to get to this game. So I kind of understand it. But, man, Illinois fans showed up in droves. I imagine it's going to be the same thing at Pauley Pavilion. So kudos to Illini fans. They were loud throughout the game. They had reason to be. But it's amazing when you get to Seattle and Washington and Oregon last year, like Derek was, and you see all these Illinois fans show up on the West Coast. Same thing in LA. They made it like it was a Northwestern game where Illinois fans are like half the crowd last night. And it's kind of a sterile environment usually. Illinois made it not so much last night.
It's pretty remarkable to be in Southern California and have a 50-50 contingent of Illinois fans in a road game. That eases the West Coast trip quite a bit. Any travel concerns or anything about going out west and the difficulty of that trip, if you're walking into a friendly arena, that definitely makes it easier. It's pretty incredible. I do think the 4 West Coast home environments here of these new Big Ten teams are lacking a little bit. They're not the most menacing places to go, but man, it's pretty rare that a team from the Midwest is going to outnumber a home team's fans from California. This fan base is amazing. It's going to be it's going to be a huge weapon for this team in the NCAA tournament as well, especially with some of the possible destinations and increasingly likely destinations that Illinois could find themselves. It's going to be a nice crowd advantage, I would imagine, in a lot of those places.
Do you have any more hits before we get to a few nitpicky misses? And we got a bunch of super chats, by the way. Appreciate you guys. If you want to send those super chats in on the YouTube, we'll get to those here coming up. We appreciate you guys and all your support. It allows us to make trips like this, which aren't inexpensive. And shout out to Illini guys, sent Zeno Joe out here. News Gazette sent Scott Ritchie, and Robert Rosenthal from Illini Board is out here too. It's not an inexpensive trip. So I just want to shout out those guys for making the trip. So check out all their content. But any other hits you want to hit on from this one?
Minor hit, free throw shooting, go 24 for 26 from the free throw line, take advantage of a USC team that had been pretty physical and foul happy in recent times. That was going to be a big part of this game, a game that was called pretty tightly early. And I know that could be a miss of this game, that there was some foul issues in the first half, but I thought Illinois took advantage of really attacking the rim, getting downhill, and really converting on free throws. Andrej Stojakovic to go 9 for 9 from the free throw line. He's shooting 52 for 56 in Big Ten play from the free throw line, 93%. pretty amazing. And to have that guy back who's able to just get so much pressure on the rim for you, have Kylan Boswell back who can do that for you. Obviously, Keaton Wagler. That's still a big weapon for this team on a night where everything was working offensively. To really take advantage at the free throw line is something that there's a couple uncharacteristic free throw shooting performances recently. Not the case at all yesterday.
Yeah, in the end, the tight whistle in the first half probably wasn't a terrible thing for Illinois because they got so many free throws. But 23 first half fouls was a tough watch. Like, just the game didn't have any kind of rhythm in that first half, and both teams were in foul trouble. So it was one of the tightest whistles. I thought it was both ways, so I thought it was fair, Kyle. But 23 first half fouls is a difficult watch. So I'm glad that in the second half, and they probably swallowed them a little bit just because it was a blowout. But that first half was a tough watch when the refs kind of took over.
Yeah, and I did think Illinois committed a couple uncharacteristically silly fouls too to put themselves in. Like weird. Keaton's was weird. David just put two hands on a guy's back with one foul. Tommy committed one 80 feet from the basket and then committed his second one like 30 seconds later on trying to contest offensively. So I did think, it was called tightly. There was some ticky-tack stuff. It definitely is. It feels like we've rarely had those in Illinois games because they've been so good at not fouling. There's been so much flow, and we finally had a tighter called half. But I do think Illinois did a few uncharacteristic things from a foul standpoint that I have zero concerns about because this is a team that has rarely done that all season.
And you've been monitoring this, but Zvonimir is in the slump. Shooting-wise, it's going to happen. Just seems to be rushing his shot a little bit. Just doesn't look smooth right now. 5 for 24. From 3 over the last 7 or 9 games, something like that. My bigger concern, only 3 rebounds in his last 34 minutes in the last 2 games. I just feel like he can be a little tougher in the paint a little bit. Obviously, he blocks so many shots. He's such an impact defender at the rim, but I just like to see him rebound a little bit more.
Yeah, he's in kind of a rut right now. He's the one guy, feels like everybody else is playing really well, and he's the one guy that just isn't really in a rhythm at all right now. Now he's still impacting the game defensively with his presence, but yeah, I think the rebounding, that's been something that's kind of persisted here for good bit. He's been productive for the most part as a rebounder up until the last 2 games, but he gets pushed to the ground too much. Yeah. He, just has butterfingers a little bit too much. Is unable to secure some of these things. Just getting pushed around a little bit inside, and then the shooting. Yeah, it's a true slump, but also it's not necessarily like wide open in rhythm shots that he's missing either. I feel like they're kind of forced, rushed shots that are just not really in the flow of things and just kind of forcing up some tougher ones. Just doesn't feel like they have much of a chance of going in right now because they're not the type of looks that he was getting earlier in the year. So this team does need him to snap out of this and get back into a better rhythm here because his starting front court has kind of masked his struggles here lately and with how good they've been, and they haven't really needed him as much. And he's still obviously been such a presence defensively that he still can make an impact even when he's not giving you much offensively. But before Michigan and that front court, and as you get into March, you'd like to see Zvonimir kind of snap out of whatever this little funk is that he's been in.
And part of it might be that Tommy's playing so well, right? Like that he's playing more minutes now, and he seems healthy. So that's the encouraging part is, 40 minutes of Ivicic has still worked out for the most part during the entire season so far for this team. My last hit, bear down, Caleb Williams showing up. That was pretty cool. He's got a fangirling. He's about 50 feet from me. I didn't go up to him, didn't bother him, but he threw up that bear claw because he knew there were a bunch of Illinois, Chicago Bears fans there. So that was pretty cool for all those Illini fans that got to see him live.
Yeah, I got to see his alma mater put up a stinker courtside against Illinois. Probably, if you're just a casual basketball fan that's showing up and watching this Illinois team play, you got to be pretty impressed with what you're seeing. And I'm sure there's plenty of Illinois people in his life right now. So yeah, that was cool.
Fresh off his NBA All-Star break appearance. All right, we will look forward to what Illinois has. UCLA on Saturday. Not an easy game, but they're struggling a little bit, and obviously their coach is going through it a little bit. And then, of course, Michigan coming up. But we have so many super chats. We appreciate you guys. If you want to send in any of those, we'll get to those here coming up. But while you're here on the YouTube channel, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell. We appreciate all your guys' support for that. All right, RBC Bradley stepping up, $50 super chat. Thank you, RBC. They can get better, RBC says, especially on the defensive end. They need another statement win on Saturday. If they can impose their will against USC or UCLA, it should guarantee a 2 seed at the least. I agree, Kyle. If they win 3 of their last 4, assuming Michigan would be the loss there, I don't see this team falling below a 2 seed. I think their resume is too strong. They're going to go back and forth with the quad 1 wins. I think it went back down to 6 last night, but these California games would be quad 1 wins. So to get another one against UCLA, take care of business against Oregon and Maryland, 2 bad teams to close out the season and avoid any type of quad 3 or lower loss. I don't see how this team falls below a 2 seed. The metrics are too good. The resume is too good. The eye test is too good. I think there's a drop off to that 3 seed kind of level. So I agree with RBC. I think if you take care of business against UCLA and the 2 teams you close out the season with, you'd be a 2 seed. Even if you drop UCLA, I think 3 seed is probably the lowest they would go. But if you beat Michigan and you win out the regular season and add a win or 2 in the Big Ten tournament, I don't think the 1 seed's outside the realm of possibility, given UConn lost, given Iowa State and Houston kind of beating up on each other. Arizona looks a little vulnerable. I don't think they're going to win out. So kind of like that 21 Illini team that wasn't a 1 seed, going into the final week of the season. I think this team's still alive if they can make a big statement against Michigan. But first, you got to take care of UCLA.
Yeah, no, I absolutely think that 1 seed is still on the table if this team wins out in the regular season and gets to the Big Ten title game, which I don't think the result of that game really actually influences the bracket anymore, given it finishes 30 minutes before the selection show. I think that's still on the table, especially with UConn, who, if they lose 1 more time to anybody in the Big East, it's probably a team that is going to fall off that 1 line, and Big 12 just seems to kind of beat each other up. So, yeah, I think 2 seed is feel pretty comfortable about that. If Illinois, even if you don't get that Michigan game, as long as you don't avoid the quad 3 loss to one of those last 2 teams at the end of the year, I think this team's in great position. They're 4th in the net right now. As of right now, they still do have 7 quad 1 wins, which is tied for 6th in the country overall. They have 5 quad 1A wins, which is tied for 2nd in the country with 4 other teams right now, only behind Duke, who has 6. So, yeah, this resume stacks up right in that, top 5, 6, 7 of the country, and that'll put you right on that 2 line and should give you an opportunity to maybe be in St. Louis for that first round, for that first weekend. Michigan probably has the clear path, even if Illinois beats them in Champaign. I think Michigan has a very clear path right now to the Midwest Regional in Chicago, but Illinois could set themselves up for a nice, friendly first weekend and a really favorable spot on the 2 line. I think that's definitely where it's trending, as long as they avoid a major trip up here. And if you can get another road quad 1, that's the other thing on the resume too. That's the thing that sometimes gets overlooked. How you perform away from home is a huge part of the comparisons. And Illinois right now is 7-1. 7-1 in true road games. So you get to 8-1 if you beat UCLA, and you should be able to beat Maryland at the end of the year. 9-1 in true road games would be a huge feather at the top of that resume.
It would be another feather in the cap is if they beat UCLA, they would only be the 2nd team in the last 2 years to sweep the LA series in the Big Ten.
Is that real? Is that true? Wow.
Yeah. Michigan did it last year with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. No other team has done it. Not this year. Now, Michigan hasn't gone on the road and done that, but Purdue didn't do it. They blew the end of that UCLA game. Nebraska's still got to make the trip here, but they're a little vulnerable right now, and I don't think that's a guarantee. So that'd be pretty impressive to come on the road and sweep the LA series. I always thought this was a tricky part in the schedule. Obviously, you slip up to Wisconsin because you're missing 2 of your guys and didn't close that one out. But if you can get to 3-4 in this kind of 4-game stretch leading up to Michigan, I think that'd be really, really impressive. SRQ, $10 super chat. Jake freaking Davis. So impressed with his growth this year. Not as a shooter, but he plays way above his expectation in rebounding and effort. 7 rebounds and at least 2 more he tipped to his teammates. The effort on the glass, just from this entire team, and I think Kylan is starting to show it. Boy, that tip back dunk. that almost got me out of my seat. Oh my goodness. I thought, oh boy, I hope he didn't hurt his hand on that one. He said he saw the weak side defender not really look to box him out. He said, this went up, dunked that mother bleeper. And boy, did he. I was unfamiliar with your bunnies there, Kylan Boswell. What a statement that was. I couldn't believe at first that they thought it was basket interference. It wasn't even close. So I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad they challenged and reviewed it because, boy, that was the highlight of the game right there. Just an unbelievable put down.
That's a big miss of the game, is waving that thing off on the floor, because that just kind of takes some of the juice out of the play, which was unbelievable. I mean, you had everybody on the floor. Tommy had his hands on his head. That was shocking to see that happen. It's very rare that you're shocked by something that happens on the floor. Like, I did not know that could happen. And for Kylan, I know he had one other tip dunk earlier this year that was pretty impressive, but it wasn't quite like that, especially to do it with a broken hand and to be confident enough to go in there one-handed and tip that thing in. Kylan is a really underrated athlete.
Yeah, I said his hand was hurting a little bit after that, but he's fine. He's fine. He said it was just the vibration of the rim. I mean, he tomahawked that thing, man. 6th dunk of his career for Kylan Boswell.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really underrated athlete. You're missing some athleticism with Andre, but you're also adding a good bit of athleticism with what Kylan can do. And how about 7 offensive rebounds for Kylan in his 2 games since he's returned? Like, that's from the smallest guy that you play in your 8-man rotation to go get you 7 offensive rebounds in 2 games. Pretty impressive.
Is he the second most likely Illini to be drafted? One, because he's in the draft. You know he's in the draft. You don't know Tommy will be in the draft. You don't know Andre or Z would be in the draft. I think Z would have a tough time getting drafted right now. Andre, just the shooting, I got a big question mark, but he's one of the best downhill drivers in the Big Ten. So it comes down to Tommy or Kylan.
Yeah, I think it's a different question if you say put every player on this team in the same draft who get drafted, or who's the more likely to get drafted next year behind Keenan. Because I think it would be Kylan, because I think Tommy is probably going to be back in college. I think David is probably going to be back in college. I think Andre probably going to be back in college. I might be one of the only guys that is in there. In terms of draft prospects,
I just think some NBA team's going to like him. Does he get drafted? I don't know.
The second most likely,
those guys.
Yeah, the second most likely Illini to get drafted from this roster at some point, I think, is David Mirkovic. I just think he's too skilled for his size. I get that he's undersized.
This year.
Yeah. I think it probably is Kylan. I think it is Kylan.
Yeah. It's a fun question to talk about because there's 5 guys that you could discuss with that one. All right, Scott, $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Scott. The changes in defense throughout the game, man, zone, run, and jump trap, can't be understated as we get into tournament play. Makes teams adjust and not get comfortable. Illinois' defense was pretty solid in their discipline of doing things the last couple of years, Kyle, but it was so predictable. Like, teams just knew where to attack them. The one thing I like about Cam Crocker, and kudos to Brad for making the adjustment, is they have these possessions where they steal just because they surprise teams. You don't know when it's coming, but, here's the zone. Here's a trap that Jake Davis comes up and forces a timeout by USC, and USC was out of timeouts in the first 5 minutes of that second half. But yeah, just some of the things they throw out there. They have change-ups. They didn't have change-ups the last couple of years, really. Now they have it. And if you could steal some of those possessions, man, going up against some of these great teams in the second weekend can help you win a game.
Yeah, I like how selective they're using those things too. It's not a situation where they're going to sit in zone for 6 possessions and let teams get comfortable in it. When they do throw a little pressure, 3/4 court pressure, they do throw a trap at you. It's one time, and then you're probably not going to see it again for a little while. It just kind of keeps teams on their toes a little bit. And I think they found a nice little niche with the baseline and sideline out of bounds plays largely being zone possessions defensively, and that being a way to kind of set yourself in those situations. So yeah, I just think they've made teams a lot more uncomfortable this year. They haven't been as easy to prepare for and as easy to get comfortable against during a game. And they just have a lot more at their disposal to throw at teams defensively, which I think is a big weapon as you go into March. If there's a certain matchup that's beating you, or if there's a certain, you're just struggling to string enough stops together and you just need to throw something different to try and slow the momentum of an opposing offense, I think Illinois has some things they can turn to do that.
And I think they're getting good at it, right? Like, it's not like you throw it out there and all of a sudden, like, oh, they're lost for a possession and they give up something. Like, seems like the team's connected on those possessions too. Sam, $10 super chat. Do you guys think Andrej will keep coming off the bench or at least stagger his and Keaton's minutes? Also, do you think Ty will be part of the rotation if he's able to get fully healthy? Kyle, I'll let you handle the first part of the question. The second one, doesn't make sense for Ty Rodgers to come back for him. Why would he waste a year of eligibility and money-making ability to come back? I still think he's got to progress health-wise. And two, where's he playing? Who are you taking out? How are you fitting him into this 8-man rotation? Most teams only play 8 teams. I know people are curious about Ty. You love Ty. I don't see where he's really helping this team all that much right now, and it doesn't make sense for him. So the future of Ty Rodgers will be very interesting this offseason. But in my opinion, I've never thought he would come back this season, but especially with where they're at, how good they are, the rotation being settled, I just don't see how he fits in.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. To answer the first part, I would keep starting Jake Davis until further notice. That's how I would do it. It sounded like, based on an answer Brad gave you last night, that's probably what's going to happen. But obviously said, well, if we need to put Andrej back in there, we will. I just think Jake's earned it. I think there's a great rhythm and chemistry with what Jake gives you. I also really like the idea of staggering Kylan and Andrej a little bit, just to not have 2 questionable shooters on the floor at one time. They're still going to play together, and they did plenty last night. But I like the idea of early in the game staggering that, bringing Andrej off the bench where you can just unleash him, allow him to kind of settle and be aggressive, give you a totally different offensive look in that second unit as a scorer. I just think I really liked how that shaped up. Jake Davis made 2 corner threes in that first segment, got you off to a great start, just spaces the floor. I like how that fits right now, unless there's some reason or a certain matchup where you could really use Andrej defensively, which I think could happen. I kind of like how that stacks up right now. I would keep it the same.
Man, and Andrej Stojakovic, 20-25 minutes off the bench. Do you think of gives Kylan maybe 5-10 minutes where he can sit on the bench?
How many better bench players are there in the country than that?
Oh, man.
Maybe none.
Z, too. I mean, you get Z and Ben coming up. It's one of the best benches in the country when you do that. And to your point, I just think Jake's earned it. Like this team, this offense has been fully realized when he is on the court. And I agree with you. Like Boswell, Stojakovic, you can stagger those minutes. Makes a lot of sense because, boy, those guys take advantage of all the space that is created by all those shooters around them. Slow-mo, 217, $10 super chat. Not to put the cart before the horse, but where does this team fall short come time to play Michigan, or do they? I think just like, Saturday, 2 of the top 4 teams in the country. Like, there's 2 games of the top 5 teams in the country, or whatever it is. This game, Michigan-Illinois, whether Illinois loses to UCLA or not, it's 2 of the best teams in the country. This is a heavyweight matchup, kind of an Elite 8, Final 4 kind of preview. I can't wait for it, Kyle, because Michigan is a juggernaut, just an absolute juggernaut. What they do defensively, I like Illinois more offensively, but boy, that Michigan front court can give Illinois' offense, number 1 offense, a lot of issues. I like the Illini's backcourt, but Morez Johnson is a phenomenal player. Adai Mara is phenomenal rim protector and really, really skilled. And Yaxel Lendemore is going to be a handful for Andrej Stojakovic, Ben Humrickhouse, all those guys. So this is what it's all about. These are 2 of the best rosters in the country. So not to put the cart before the horse, you got to take care of UCLA, but it's hard not to start thinking about that matchup, Kyle. And Illinois is going to have 6 days to prepare for it. So that's the fun thing, is they can get better in practice. They can heal up a little bit and really focus on one opponent.
Yeah. And look, I think I would be surprised at this point if Michigan loses another game that is in Illinois. Not saying it can't happen, but I think they probably take care. Is it Iowa that they play after Illinois?
Yes. I mean, they got Duke, but that one doesn't count.
Doesn't count for the Big Ten. Yeah. In terms of the Big Ten race, I think if you're Illinois, yes, you want to beat Michigan at home, and if you do
Michigan
that,
does
you
have
give
Michigan
yourself
State
a
at
chance.
home, right? Michigan does have Michigan State at home. So that'll be an interesting one, but
yeah,
I agree with you.
Point being, I think if you're Illinois, the Big Ten title stuff probably needs to be at the back of your mind right now. Now you got to take care, beat Michigan, leave that last week up to what it is, see what happens, and we'll see. But I think if you're Illinois, you want to use this game as the true barometer of, can you win the national championship? Can you stack up with probably the national title favorite? Have you gotten yourself to a point, the last game of February heading into March, where you feel like we have everything we need to win a national title? Because there's your ultimate litmus test right there against Michigan, who I think right now is far and away the favorite to me to win the national title with everything that they have. Now, that said, I think if you're looking across the country at teams that could give Michigan problems and present some matchup problems for Michigan that they could exploit, I think Illinois is near the top of the list with the floor spacing they have in the front court. You just have to have floor spacing bigs against Michigan, or you have no chance. You have to spread those guys out. You have to pull Morrow away from the rim and limit his effectiveness defensively, and you just have to spread them out. You have to make a lot of threes against them, because talk about a team with elite athleticism, length, and size that gives you nothing in the paint. Hard pressed to ever penetrate that Michigan defense. You got to shoot it well. You got to spread them. And you also can't be overmatched up front and on the glass. And I think Illinois, yes, that Michigan front court's a different beast, but this is a big front court, a big team that's not going to be overwhelmed from a rebounding standpoint. So I think Illinois, in terms of teams in the country that you look at and say, if there's anybody that could beat Michigan or give them the most problems, I think it's the number one offense in the country that has shooters everywhere, can space them out, and can match them physically, at least to a certain extent. So let's see what happens. I think Illinois has a true opportunity, especially at home, to beat Michigan. And if you do that, there's nobody in the country you can't beat.
Boy, Michigan over the next 8 days, 10 days is going to have a lot of opportunities to show that it's the top overall seed, which I think it will be. But Duke at a neutral site, Illinois on the road, Michigan State at home. I mean, next couple of weeks for them really can make themselves the heavy national title favorite. But Illinois can prove itself as a national title contender as well. But, for Illinois, Kyle, it's the chance to get the most marquee win of the season, because you think about their wins. I don't think they've beaten a national title contender. I don't see Purdue as that team. I don't see Nebraska as that team. Doesn't mean those teams aren't capable of a Final Four or Elite Eight or whatever it is. They lost to UConn, which I still think they have the chance if they clean some things up defensively, just talent-wise. We know Bobby Hurley's teams are really good down the stretch. It's really sad that Texas Tech, what happened with JT Toppin, out for the season. I think that's a really good team. I don't think it's a Final Four contender. I don't think Tennessee is a national title contender. You know what I mean? Like they got really good wins. Nothing like Michigan. Like Michigan looks like, just a powerhouse juggernaut.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Purdue, Final Four contender. I think healthy Texas Tech before the Toppin injury, Final Four contender. Are those teams in the top 8 teams that you would take to win it all right now? I'm not sure if they are. So it's a great point. Yeah, I think that's what this game comes down to. And yes, if it ends up that Michigan slips up that final week of the year and you get a share of the Big Ten title out of it, that's great. Right now, I think if you're Illinois, you got to, first off, take care of your home floor and have some pride in that of, hey, this is the number one team in the country that's everybody's favorite right now, but they're coming to our house and we think we can win the national title. Let's win this game. And let's make that true statement here to close February and enter March right at the perfect time and say, yes, we are a team that is in that top group of teams that can win the national title. If you beat Michigan, that's exactly what that statement is. I mean, and it's not to say that if you lose a competitive game to Michigan that all of a sudden this team can't win at all. But I think you get that team at home, and with the way that this team is playing now at full health, go win that basketball game and make that statement to the country as March 1st rolls around 2 days after that. Illinois is a team that absolutely is a threat to win the whole thing.
All right, but first you got to take care of business at UCLA. Not an easy place to win. Yep. UCLA is 14-1 at home, 6-1 in Big Ten play. The one loss double overtime to Indiana a couple weeks ago. Now they just went to the state of Michigan and got their butts kicked. Now Mick Cronin will say it's all because of the travel doesn't seem to be impacting Illinois, like heading to LA here. But got crushed by Michigan 86-56, crushed by Michigan State 82-59. This is a team, like, I like the pieces. Donovan Dent's a really talented point guard. Tyler Bilodeau crushed Illinois last year with his ability to stretch out the floor. Trent Perry, Eric Daly, Xavier Booker, I've never been a big fan of, but Sky Clark coming off the bench. Like, this is a team that's got some talent here, Kyle. So can't sleepwalk when you get to Pauley Pavilion, that historic arena that you're going to, because they're hungry, man. UCLA needs a win, just like USC, but UCLA, I think, has a better roster, healthier roster right now. So I don't expect this to be an easy game, and I do think this will be a big win for this team. So they can take care of business, head into that Michigan game, because you don't want to be coming off a loss. Probably solidifying yourself is not in the race for a number 1 seed. If you lose this game, you win this game, you keep those hopes alive, not only for a number 1 seed, but the Big Ten title.
Yeah. Just make sure not to raise your voice around Mick Cronin if you get a chance to talk to him after the game. Yeah, it's
what a miserable man right now. Like, all right, you could sell me as a coach that you're trying to take the heat off your players by doing all this crap that he's doing and being miserable to the media, being miserable to everybody, except he threw his own player out of the game. So he's not trying to protect his players. He's just being miserable right now. So you can't sell me on any of that stuff. It's like, is this guy trying to get fired? Like, is he trying to embarrass everybody associated with UCLA? Like, I can understand, like, some coaches try to take the heat off the players. He's not doing that with the way he's doing.
He's never done that, really. I mean, he's been one that's just going right after players, which, look, it's fine if that's the approach and you know that guys can handle it, but you're right. It's both ways. It's going after players, not taking the heat off of them, but also just being a jerk to people in the media. Like, I don't know. That's, I don't know what his situation is.
You are paid millions of dollars, literally, to speak to the media. God, like, a big portion of their contracts are to speak to the media. Like, that is be a professional. Like, you can come back at us. Brad every once in a while gives us jabs, right? That's fine. We ask some dumb questions. We're annoying at times. That's our job. But, like, be a human being. Like, don't be a jerk. He's just being a jerk right now. And I don't get that. Don't treat people that way.
Look, if he was asked about Michigan State student section and just left it at the first part, I don't give a rat's ass about Michigan State student section, just moved on. Totally cool. Like, that's a lot of coaches.
It's a fair question. And Xavier Scott or Xavier Booker going back, like, that's a maybe not the thing he wants to hear about at the moment, but, like, that's a legitimate question. That's a legitimate storyline.
It's just the keep going back of, like, okay, I can't leave it at that. Now I got to insult you. Now I got to, make up. It's just, I don't know what his situation is.
It's a little man thing. Like, it's just it's a guy being a small man right there.
Yeah. And his team is not playing very well right now. But that said, I agree with you. I think this can be a tricky game. I think you talk about the West Coast trips too. Like, it's that second game that sometimes can trip teams up where you've been out there for a little bit. And, we saw that last year with Illinois, romped Oregon in that first game. And then, we're in dogfight with Washington in that second game. Purdue, second game of their trip, lost against UCLA here. Even Michigan State, when they went to Oregon for the second leg of their West Coast trip, they were trailing that game with like 10 minutes left against an awful Oregon team, ultimately outlasted them. So sometimes that second game can trip you up a little bit. And it's a team that is dangerous. They're not playing well right now. I think Illinois should be able to dominate the glass against this team. In the front court, I think Illinois has a huge advantage, much like Indiana. I think it's very similar to that, where you should be able to dominate this game physically and have a lot of success offensively in the paint against the UCLA defense that has really struggled for the most part this year. Doesn't have a lot of rim protection. Plays Tyler Bilodeau at 6'9" as their 5 a lot. Xavier Booker some as well, who's never been a very physical big. So that's where Illinois, you got to make that advantage show. And then you got to find an answer for Donovan Dent, who has had a rocky season, but is still really talented, really quick, lives in the paint. He can give you some of the similar issues that Nick Boyd and Jeremy Fears gave you, and obviously having your full complement of guys back, having Kylan Boswell to throw on him is going to be huge. But if you let him get comfortable and take over the game offensively, it's also a UCLA team that shoots it really well. They don't take a super high volume of threes, But if you're Illinois, this is a team that shoots almost 38%. It's got 3 guys shooting at least 41% from 3 right now. Actually, 4 guys shooting at least 41% from 3 right now. Just got Sky Clark back, who's shooting 48%. Bilodeau's really dangerous shooter, shooting 46% on 110 attempts, a guy that gave Illinois trouble last year. And that is one thing that Illinois has sometimes struggled with even this year, is getting out to those pick and pop bigs. Tommy will have to be good, with a lot better than he was last year with that. So it's a team that can beat Illinois, but if Illinois just brings that same intensity level and connectivity on both ends that they had last night, I just think you can overwhelm UCLA with your size, and a team that is going through it right now and is really struggling against the upper echelon of the league outside of Purdue. I think Illinois, if you can go in there with the right mindset, you can carry over a lot of the things that they did last night. Should be a game you take care of, but you can't take it lightly. You got to bring the energy, and you can't let that second leg of the trip you up like it has some teams in the past.
Yeah, obviously expect a more competitive game than we saw against USC, but I do feel better. Colin Boswell and Andrej Stojakovic are there to help out on Donovan Dent. All right, that'll do it for us here on this podcast. We appreciate you guys listening. Follow us, rate us, review us wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, before you get out of here, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell. We got plenty more coming from California. Got a special interview today that I'm looking forward to. I'll also write about the glue guys, Jake Davis and Ben Humrickhouse, coming up here in just a little bit. So stay tuned at IlliniInquirer.com. Sign up for VIP membership. That really helps us, allows us to make these travels along with all your super chats and watching all this stuff. We appreciate you guys for doing that. So sign up for 50% off, $60 of savings for your first year of VIP membership at Illini Inquirer. But for Kyle Tausk, I'm Jeremy Werner. Everybody have a great day. Take care of each other, and we will talk to you next time right here on the Illini Inquirer podcast.
Bye, everybody.